Hello and welcome back to video number 2. We're going to talk about the top ways that Hangouts can increase your traffic and conversions. But before we talk about traffic and conversions, I want to talk briefly about the different ways that you can use this powerful system. I'm a big believer that if you understand the multi-uses and the different ways that you can use a system, this will open your eyes in terms of how you can use a system that will help you with traffic, which will help you with conversions and things like that. Whether you're trying to strengthen your relationship with your fans, with your lists, with your customers, with your business partners, and things like that. Google Hangouts, from what I've done through tests, is it can actually help in many ways simply because it's part of a major system. It's part of the social networking system. It's part of all different sorts of systems, applications that you can use to really take things to the next level. So let's talk about those ways. Webinars are definitely one of those ways. And if you're not aware of, you can actually get a lot of traffic, high converting traffic, in fact, with webinars. Now, the question is, does Google Hangouts really compare to all the other different types of webinar systems? I'm not going to name names, but I will say that there are several webinar systems that cost $99, $75 a month, $50 a month. And from what I've seen, Google Hangouts is the complete package. Now, I wouldn't say it's 100% better than a certain type of product, but you can see for yourself and make that decision on your own. But with webinars, what I like about Google Hangouts is that, as you know, with webinars, we do webinars. And after the webinar, you have to record it. Hopefully, you've gotten a copy of it, you've recorded it, you've got to convert it into a file and then upload it to YouTube or Vimeo or another type of hosting site. Now, with Google Hangouts, the beauty is that you can host a webinar, but you can also seamlessly transfer that to your YouTube account. Now, there are some downsides with Google Hangouts that I've found, such as control and security and things like that. You do have to monitor it a little bit better in terms of Google Hangouts because your viewers actually have some control. Now, you can take some of that control from them, but it's a little bit limited. But in terms of being able to show screen shares, webcams, and all sorts of other things, like including maps, Google Docs, collaboration tools, and things like that, if you have serious people coming to your Hangout, then probably the security isn't as super issue, an important issue, as it would be if somebody got together just for the fun of it. So you got to weigh your advantages and disadvantages, of course, and make your own decision. But I will say that I am definitely impressed with simply using it and seeing the opportunities. You can also do live streaming media. Like I said earlier, you can integrate it with YouTube and do live videos. So you can have a live TV show, a live weekly show for your fans to strengthen your relationship with them, and other things like that. You can do consulting, and you can actually meet one-on-one or in a group with people, and they can see your screen. You can actually take control of their computer as well. So there are many different other avenues. You can do customer support and things like that. I remember spending a lot of money on a customer support program. You've probably heard of it. It's Log Me In. And they have a comparable product. They were one of the first few people that came out with this product, but it enabled you to log on to somebody else's system and actually do customer support. So that in itself is built in there. So you could even use that as part of a live streaming media, a webinar. You can just be creative and think out of the box. But so there's so many different avenues that you can take. So you can do consulting, you can do interviews, you can do team or business meetings, pre-launch buzz creation, you can do product demonstrations, customer hangouts, and much more. So think about pre-launch buzz creation. You could kind of showcase a snippet of your product or whatever you're launching and give people an idea of what you're offering. That way you start to create some buzz. People like what they see, they tell their friends and their friends and their friends. Word spreads around, and when you launch the product, you got a big boom. So you got a big snowball effect that keeps going and going and going. So what I found with Google Hangouts is it's really great with customer interaction and building and strengthening that relationship with them. So what I want to do here is simply pick one of those items and talk about what I found. So I'm going to choose one area. We're going to choose webinars. I briefly touched base on this, but I want to go a little more deeper. There are other costly webinar softwares. Now, of course, I'm not going to name names, but there are several of them that can only do screen capture and PowerPoint. They can't really do webcams or anything like that. It's just the basic screen capture and PowerPoint. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. With Google Hangouts, that just gives you an additional option. But what I found with these other webinar systems is in the past, when I ran several of them, they tend to crash a lot. So we'd have 50 people in the group, and then it suddenly crashes. I had one webinar that crashed about 3 times, and we actually lost a good amount of sales because the webinar crashed. And this was a company that we were paying, it was at that time, I think it was like $50 or $99 a month. But that's a lot of money to lose. Now with Google Hangouts, obviously it's free. The customer support may not be as strong as these other webinar systems. But in terms of the technology, from what I've seen, it's fast, it's easy, it crashes less, and things like that. Now, obviously, you got to weigh your upsides and your downsides. There are downsides to Google Hangouts as well. So I want you to pay close attention to, test it out, use it yourself. And I want you to do that because you're watching this video series as well. And what I found is a lot of these other webinar softwares, they require that you manually record the actual video, convert it into a different format, and simply upload it to YouTube. Like I said earlier, you got this system that allows you to seamlessly go from a live YouTube webinar to an actual video on your YouTube account. I mean, how great is that? So creating videos has never been easier. Let's talk about traffic real quick. Now that you understand the opportunities and options and things that are available to you and the different ways of using the system, another good thing about Google Hangouts is it integrates into the Google Plus social networking system. So that in itself is very, very powerful. This is another great traffic resource, but the fact that it integrates into the Google Plus social networking, that in itself is an additional traffic source. It also integrates into YouTube. And as you know, if you run a Hangout, you can record it, have it uploaded to YouTube without any software. You can utilize the YouTube system, which if you're not aware of, if you upload a video to YouTube, you can actually get it ranked pretty high in the search engines by using several techniques. In fact, if the market is not really saturated, you could simply upload a YouTube video. Within a few hours, your video is appearing in the Google system. I mean, think about it. YouTube is owned by Google. So you have a dramatic advantage by using Google Hangouts. You can also tap into video marketing and get video traffic. And myself, I love video traffic. In fact, the stuff that I do is mainly video traffic. It also gives you the ability to tap into an audience. And best of all, it's free. In terms of conversions, Google Hangouts is great simply because it allows you to see your customers' faces. Now, if we go back down to the basics, conversion comes from when your buyers can relate to you, which is trust. Trust can be built through many forms, but one of them is by building a relationship with them. In fact, this here in itself, and I've tested this, of course you want to be genuine while you're testing it, but if you truly want to help your customers and you really desire to do so, that in itself can build a strong relationship. Be transparent and give advice is another way. So you could host Google Hangouts and say, hey, I'm going to be available for 1 hour next week. If you want to come in, just chat a little bit, ask me questions about the product, and tell me how you've been using the product so I can answer your questions, things like that. That in itself could really build your relationship with your customers. Because think about it, they get to see you, your webcam, they get to see you, you get to see them, and that's kind of like an instant relationship builder. They get to ask you questions, other people get to see you helping other people, and that in itself helps build the relationships. And another way is through webinars, but of course, Google Hangouts does a lot more than this. It mixes the ability to see your prospects, interact with them, collaborate with them through transparency. And through that, the trust builds on and on and on, and your conversions will increase dramatically. So just keep that in mind, just the basic stuff I wanted to go over before we dive in and I show you how to use it. So that completes this video. We're going to talk about getting started with Google Hangouts in the next video.